Hey guys, Matt here, and don't be surprised if everyone around the ages of 20 to 35 calls in sick this week, because we're all going to be very busy finally realizing our childhood dream of going to Hogwarts, choosing a house, becoming a wizard, and playing a game of Quidditch.
This year's Quidditch season has been cancelled.
Okay, well, maybe not that last one, but still, Hogwarts Legacy feels like one of the very first faithful revisits to the wizarding world most of us fell in love with over 20 years ago. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't even born when the first book came out and was way too scared for the movies at first, but in more recent years I also fell for the incredibly expansive lore and undeniable charm of Harry Potter and the world around him. Which is why I became incredibly hyped when the first rumors of an open world RPG set within this world was first announced. And today, after many years and many delays, I'm very glad to say that this is one of those very rare instances in today's gaming environment where buying something on release is not only met with a completely playable game with a minimal amount of technical errors, but it's also just incredibly fun. So without any further ado, here is some gameplay and my first impressions of Hogwarts Legacy. And even though I won't cover any story details in this video, I will show a lot of sights and gameplay elements which are arguably much more fun to discover yourself. So consider this as your spoiler warning. Hogwarts Legacy might be the most detailed version of this school and this world as a whole we've ever gotten. Set more than 100 years before the adventures of Harry Potter, you'll find that this world hasn't even changed that much, mostly because this game is solely set within the magical world, while the quote-unquote normal world is only briefly seen at the start of the game. After following the classic RPG trope of taking literal hours to create a character, the game starts pretty abruptly and you're thrown into the action fairly quickly, giving you a quick look into the combat, some of the characters and its main antagonist, as well as very quickly showing you places, objects and people you're undoubtedly familiar with if you know the franchise. But of course the most important and impressive moment in the early hours of the game is your initial visit to Hogwarts itself. Not only is every nook and cranny in this school fully accessible, it looks drop-dead gorgeous doing so. If you ever wondered what it would be like to actually run around Hogwarts, this is probably as close as you're going to get. This is, however, mostly true for the architecture and details within these buildings, and not so much for the characters. They don't look bad by any means, but unimportant NPCs look and feel a lot less detailed than the main characters, as well as that the facial animations are pretty subpar in comparison to other games.
Good. Pleasure chatting with you. I'm sure I'll see you soon.
The constant clipping of hair through wearable hats also annoys the ever-loving crap out of me, and I can't help but feel like every character sounds perfectly fine, yet your character sounds like he or she is talking through a tin can.
You'll be a force to be reckoned with when you get your own.
Thank you, Professor Fig. I appreciate you working with me before term begins.
However, I might just be a bit extra nitpicky about these kinds of things because I just played The Last of Us Part 1, where the characters look pretty much photoreal. And since this game is a lot bigger in scale, those sorts of details are easily forgiven. The frame rate is steady, I haven't encountered any bugs and glitches, and I will say it again, the game looks beautiful. Just keep in mind that the game is a bit rough around the edges here and there, though so far for me it has never been game breaking. Right after entering the school and choosing a house, you're pretty much free to go wherever you want. But it is advised to do some story missions at this point, since these will give you new spells. Spells you can then use to open secret doorways, grab collectibles, repair stuff, etc. And it's not like this is revolutionary stuff. I mean, we've had side objectives, secrets and spellcasting before in RPGs, but the way it is implemented in this game really makes you wonder why this franchise hasn't gotten the RPG treatment earlier. This isn't your usual RPG where you can pick a class and choose to use weapons or spells or whatever. Spellcasting is actually your only means of attacking in this game. But that does mean that the combat is incredibly refined, has a lot of abilities and is overall just a lot of fun. The role-playing aspect of this game, though not bad, is probably the least interesting part of this game. It's pretty much the same mechanic as every other RPG, in which you can choose what you want to answer in a conversation, but there is no skill you use in order to unlock different dialogue options, no karma mechanic whatsoever, so people will feel the same about you after a conversation as they did before it, etc. So what you are left with is just a list of dialogue options you can choose in order to get more information about a certain subject by choosing the question question mark options, or getting through a conversation as quickly as possible by choosing the continuing dialogue option. It makes these parts of the game feel more like you're just listening to a conversation playing out, rather than choosing your words wisely and having an actual impact on the conversation. That definitely is a shame because the voice acting is done very well and most of the characters in the early game are actually quite well written and very charming.
The sorting ceremony's over.
There were complications.
Complications?
It seems the goblin problem has...
Enough! Goblins. I've no time for rumors, Fig, and I'm rapidly losing whatever patience I had left.
In the early hours of the game, it's very easy to get lost because of just how many things there are to do. And even though a lot of things are explained very thoroughly, just the sheer size of this building makes it kind of a huge maze with a very good looking but not very useful map, and a minimap cluttered with icons of which you initially have no idea what they all mean. That doesn't make it any surprise that my girlfriend, who by the way was playing while recording this footage, very quickly started to disregard the main objective in order to just run around the building, wear a silly hat and pet as many cats as she could find, which are a lot. But I'd say it's a very good quality in an RPG game when just mindlessly running around and getting distracted around every corner is just as much fun as following the objective. This school really feels alive, and these secrets, references, characters, moving objects, objects you can interact with, hidden rooms, puzzles, just whatever, it always makes it worth your while to just run around and do stuff. Though me and my girlfriend haven't played that much of the story yet, it's safe to say that it has been entertaining so far. Characters like the teachers not only have some great voice acting, as I've said before, but they're also written, played and portrayed in a very goofy yet charming way that is faithful to the source material. The Harry Potter books and movies don't shy away from more grown-up subjects, but they also make sure to retain a sort of childlike disbelief in their stories. And I'm glad to see that balance in this game as well. Not everything has to be a Spec Ops The Line or Game of Thrones where the world is shitty and the people are awful and every good moment is followed up by 5 terrible ones. Sometimes you just want to sit back, grab your blankie and be engulfed by feelings of nostalgia in a whimsical magic fantasy world. Just as an example, while visiting Hogsmeade early on in the game, you'll eventually get into a fight with a giant troll. Not only does your character, a child, which was allowed to start Hogwarts in the 5th year without any knowledge about magic, defeat this full-grown troll with ease, she also manages to do so while using magic no one has seen in decades, and she rebuilds half of the town afterwards. Does that make any sense? No, of course not, but shut up. In conclusion, my first impression of Hogwarts Legacy has been very positive. This is a very good looking game that does have some rough edges, but it never makes the game unplayable, nor does it ruin your immersion, which unfortunately is an uncommon thing in AAA releases nowadays. This game really has a lot of content. There are so many things to do that I feel like we haven't even scraped the surface of all there is. It implements well-known RPG elements into a franchise that desperately needed a game like this, and makes sure that the gameplay is fun and engaging without making objectives repetitive, at least in the early hours of the game. Whether the quality and fun me and my girlfriend encountered in this game will continue to surface remains to be seen. It is of course way too early to say that this game is a masterpiece or anything, but as of now, if the game continues to be as much fun as it was in the 10-ish hours we've had with it so far, this might very well be one of the best games this year has to offer. Thanks for watching. As always, I hope you liked this video. If you're playing Hogwarts Legacy as well, what do you think of it so far? If you're not playing it, maybe this video might have encouraged or discouraged you to buy it. Either way, I'm interested to know what other people think of this game, so let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking it and subscribing to my channel, and I'd really like to thank the people that have been supporting my channel so far, especially in the last few weeks, since the support both here and on my TikTok has been incredibly positive. So thank you, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!